Welcome to the second part. If you haven't seen how I create this mask, go check that video. In this video, we're gonna create the mold so we can cast the mask. I have to say this is gonna be a really easy mold. I love this product. I know in the internet you're gonna see amazing people doing amazing and really clean mold. This is not that kind of a channel. I want something that anyone can do and that you don't have to worry about being perfect or having a lot of experience. And this material is really friendly. So that's why I choose this one. So you remember this is a sculpting channel. If you see some value and you want to support my channel, please check my links. Let's start. So the first thing we're going to do is create a wall. In the previous video, I showed that I use monster clay. You can use plastiline. That's what I did last time to create the wall around my mask. But I have to say that the material kind of went everywhere in a spill and it just was a mess. So right now, today I'm gonna use monster clay. I'm gonna make sure that I press really hard so I don't have anywhere where the mix can go. And this is gonna allow me to pay more attention on my mask than on the material that is leaking. Another type of mold, because this is not that type, is that if you put this wall really high that covers or goes beyond the mask, you can just drop it and it will fill up completely, cover the mask, and you just have to wait there for around 6-7 hours and you have your mold. And that easy. But in this occasion, I'm gonna use a product from Smooth On that I have to say that Smooth On has amazing products. It looks like they have 1,000 products just to create molds. They have 1,000 products just to create resins. They have thousands of products to mold and create replica on many materials. So they're just an amazing company. They have so much and I love them. And the cool part is that they're really friendly. To be honest, I'm choosing for the mold Smooth On 25, and I'm also using one of the Castin that you're gonna see that in part 3. But this is really friendly because when you're creating molds, the first thing that you have to worry about is bubbles. And to be honest, with other type of molds, could be a nightmare if you don't have this kind of pots where there are two different ones that they do different things. One extracts the bubbles and one pushes down the mix to extract the bubbles. I'm not gonna go into that, but if you don't have these machines, you're gonna have bubbles. But with this one, it's really friendly and you almost, or sometimes you don't have bubbles at all. Maybe one, actually I don't see any on mine. So that's why I choose this one. It's a little bit expensive, but you're trying to replicate something that you're gonna give or you maybe gonna sell. Definitely, I recommend this material. And more if you're a beginner, because like I mentioned, it will be really friendly. This mold, Band 25, I love it, is a type of mold that you have to actually brush. You can see over here the box. It shows exactly how to use it right away. But if we flip the box, you're gonna see the instruction, the steps, one by one, that are really easy. And also it will show you in the other side another type of their product to do the casting. The beauty of this product is that you use one part A and one part B, and it's exactly the same measurement. You have other resin and other mold that you have to measure and it has to be like 3 or 4 parts something and then 2 or 1 part something and then you mix it. Over here, you don't have hassles. You just have to mix them. I don't really have the time to measure. It's nothing wrong with weight the material, but to be honest, I don't have the time. So I always use these transparent cups that I can just see exactly how much they have and I can compare and say, okay, it has the same amount. And then I can just put the solution. One is pink, one is white. One important thing is to know is that at the end, if your mold is really, really sticky, that means that it wasn't the same amount. Also could be that if it is not sticky, it will cure really fast. But that will be only if you really, really put too much of the other. So like I mentioned, so easy, just the same amount on each. And you just have to mix it to know that you have the perfect mix. You have to mix it until you don't see any white, and that's it. The way to really work is this material. It's not really what you're seeing on the screen, because to be honest, I put too much. No, like always I'm worrying if the camera is looking at something and just taking the frame, and I just put too much. The reality is that at least the first layer, you want it to be really, really thin to be able to go everywhere, not to be able to brush, to push the material on every single corner That's why I also love this material, because it will keep every single detail on your sculpture. And because you're gonna brush it, and I recommend not to do it that hard, but you can apply pressure. Mustard clay will support that. That's what I was talking about. If you use different materials, you may destroy your details. So, but with mustard clay, you can just brush it around, make sure that everything goes everywhere, that you're capturing everything on the first layer. I mean, I mentioned to be really thin, but what I'm talking about is creating just a little bit of solution and just to try to move it all around. It doesn't matter that it's not enough to cover the full face, because it will cure. And it does take time to cure a little bit, but the thinner you put, the faster it's gonna cure. So if you can just go around and have that small layer all around, and well, the most important thing, to control the flow where everything is going, because it's really important that like me, I put too much. And to be honest, you have to be careful that it's going to be things that they're going to overflow. They can cover certain parts, like over here in the mouth, it cover a little bit. And when something like that happen, that means that if you don't pay attention and you don't brush, that means that it's not going to create your teeth. It's not going to create the shape that you want. You're just going to have like a blob. Like over here, if it will cover everything, you will have now this empty space that will be filled with the resin, and you don't want that. So really important just to make sure that you brush every single thing around your mask, to make sure that those places, you brush them. And if you have too much of a mix and you try to brush it, because of gravity, it's not going to stay completely on that part. So that's why it's better to do it small quantities and slowly. That's why I have that wall, because I can grab some and just put it back on top and try to work around. It's gonna be a moment that you're gonna have some parts that are completely pink. That means that you have a good thickness. You're gonna have other parts that you're gonna be able to kind of see the clay, even if it is covered. That means that the best thing is to put more of the solution. I have to say that even if it is thin, it could be really strong, because I'm surprised sometimes about this material. But at the same time, you don't want to stretch it too much, because it will break. So you have to completely cover everything. Like I mentioned, if you have those tiny parts, maybe you run out of the solution for some reason, and you still see the clay, don't worry. If it is inside the mask, you don't have to worry about too much. But if it is on the edges, if it is in something that is could be really weak, that could break, definitely you want a thicker piece on the edges and the big details. And why I'm saying this is, like I was mentioning, when I say about creating your mask, if over here I wanted to create like a big horn, and or bigger than this one. So if I put a thick wall or too much of the solution, it's gonna be really, really hard. I mean, this gets super, super strong. So it will be really hard to move it around and demold it. And this is important because with the clay, most likely some pieces will break, because it's clay, it doesn't have a lot of strength. But when you do your resin and you want to remove it, it's possible that if it is too much force that you're gonna do, you can break something, and you don't want that. So you have to have a decent wall, but not ridiculous huge. Another tip that I wanna say is, if you like to create like a huge horns or more details, you can do that later when you can maybe use foam clay to create those parts, and you can just glue that to the resin. That could be a solution, or like I mentioned before, create more than one mold. So of course it's gonna grab everything. So you're gonna be able to kind of move it around and detach it from the sculpture. But the mold is really flexible. It moves a lot. So one important thing that you have to try to do at least is create everything a little bit smooth or flat, because we're gonna create a shell that's gonna help you keep that shape. To do that, the most important thing is, if I have the shell grabbing here and grabbing here, example, and then grabbing the mouth, it's gonna be impossible to remove it, just impossible. It's good that the mold completely try to cover those details, so when you have the shell, it will just smoothly be removed and you can put it back. And over here in the eyes, also it will be annoying to have the shell inside. So what I did is completely fill them up. Well, this one not that much, but you want to try to fill things up. The way I did it is that I create a mix, and on the cup I just waited and waited. Experience will tell you how much you have to wait. Just because it's curing, it will be a little bit thicker. That will help you because now you can put it in places. It won't run like before, and you're gonna be able to fill up things like the eyeballs. Another thing to think about is that you can use that to create keys, something that I didn't do. But keys is basically you want to create in certain parts round or ball things. Those ones are going to be just to make sure that the shell and the mold align perfectly, because the mold is going to have the key and the shell, when we make it, is going to have the negative, so it's going to lock and you're going to have it in a perfect place. Over here you don't really need it. One important thing that I have to mention is that this mold, I love it, but if it touches any clothes, any fabric, you're done for it. It will stay there forever. There's no way to remove it. So have that in mind. But also, it stays in plaster. So I usually have a demolder, but I don't have it. So I was looking in my house, what else can I use? To be honest, being a Mexican, I wanted to use some big, I was gonna use that, but I found this tiny container of Vaseline. You can use that and just pull it all over your mold. Like that, you can create a shell and you won't have problem to remove it. And what I'm gonna use is plaster, not only because it's the cheapest, but I'm gonna use this bag. I mentioned that you have to put 2 cups of plaster and 1 cup of water. But to be honest, this is too liquidy. That will be fine if you grab your mold and you just pour the plaster and you have that replica. No, if I wanted to do on one of my sculptures, that will be perfect. I may do it in another video. But the most important thing is to know is that you don't want that. You want a paste. You want something a little bit solid. So just put a little bit of water and mix it until you have what you see in the screen. And then that you have that, it's time to put it on top just to make sure that it's the smoothest. And to be honest, plaster, this is not really a material that is really strong. They recommend to wait 2 full days. At least. You can wait more, but at least 2 full days. And I didn't do that. I didn't have the time. So I did wait it kind of 1 day or a little bit less than a day, try to remove it. So the first thing is take off this wall of monster clay, and I'm surprised that actually the mix find a place to go, and I was surprised about that. When I was trying to remove the shell, I feel that it was cold. I feel that it was a little bit of moisture on it, so I knew that probably it was gonna break. But I was trying to be careful. Okay, I thought it was gonna be really hard to take him off. I'm going on the side to try to remove it, but I'm seeing that it's not really stuck. So the pressure and everything most likely is on the middle, more because I have this part over here. After I felt that I could remove it, boom, I hear how it breaks and one piece goes into my desk. So not the end of the world and I can fix that, but I was a little bit disappointed, but let's continue removing the mold. So I go slowly, like I mentioned, I don't want to deform anything. I don't really care about the clay because I can always fix it, or I'm just not gonna use it anymore because I have the mold. But I'm being careful just to think if when I do my resin replica, it's gonna affect me somehow. And I realized that even if the clay bent a little bit and some of the teeth went into the mold, I didn't feel that much pressure. So I'm sure that's gonna be okay. So now we have our mold, like I mentioned, it moves around, it's a little bit wobbly. So now to attach the mold, the only thing that I did is put a rubber band. Yes, not the best, but it does lock more because of the nose. It locked perfectly, so I can feel that it will keep its shape no matter what. So I'm ready for the casting. And if you wanna see that, check this video.